In this video, I want to talk a little bit about a no-news day. Now, I know that this series of videos that I do for you are generally trade recommendations and show you, I try to show you when there's an opportunity of something that we can get into. But I want to just show a little lesson too, because it's important to know when not to get into a market. And I oftentimes teach this in my classes and reiterate this to people, but when we're day traders, this video in particular, talking about day trading, we don't day trade every day. And you have to realize that there's days that we trade and days that we don't. Now, if you take my Heisenberg course, I call them Heisenberg days. And that's because generally we'll have a good day followed by another good day, or we'll have 2 or 3 good days in a row, and then we'll have some flat days. And we want to know kind of which days to trade and which days not to trade. Now, that's the big key, right? If you knew which days to trade and which days not to trade, we'd all be rich. But that's not the way it is. It's difficult sometimes to know which days to trade and which days not to trade. Obviously, looking at this chart today, this is a not trade day. This is a day where the market did absolutely nothing. Okay? Well, how did we know that this was going to be a day where the market did absolutely nothing? Well, we don't know for sure, but we got some pretty good leading indicators that can help us with that. And one of those is, of course, the economic calendar. And the economic calendar is one of those things for day traders that we live and die by. This is for me, this is like the name of the game right here. If we don't have any high probability news events that are going to come out and drive the market for the short-term trends and give it some excitement, there's not much activity that's going to drive the market. We need to have some kind of fundamental news that triggers off the market, that makes it move, so that we can use our technical setups and triggers to know when to enter and when to exit the market. A lot of people get that confused. They think, well, I have an indicator. I'll just buy every time I get a buy signal and sell every time I get a sell signal. Well, that's the quickest way to give up your holdings to someone else. The best thing you can do is wait until you have a day that is going to be a day where we have a pretty high confidence that the market's going to move for one reason or another. Now, sometimes news events run too far too fast. I mean, they go crazy and the market takes off and you can't trade them. Now, that happens too. But more often than not, markets will just kind of start trending crazy one way or the other. And if we're down on a range bar 6 chart, and that's why I like the range bar 6 charts, it'll break those big bars up for you, and you can generally get in and make some decent trades on those markets. And a day that's got a lot of high probabilities or a lot of trading in there, a lot of activity, are the days that we want. So this is today's market. These red highs, these are not for the U.S. These are for the Swiss franc, as you can see. But over here, this is Thursday, June 13th, and you can see that down here, all the U.S. flags in here, and none of them are high. It's just kind of a lackluster day, nothing really important going on. And so that's when we pop over here to the charts, and that reflected that in there, right? Nothing really happened today. If you'd have tried to make a few trades in here, you might have got a couple of scratch trades, maybe 1 or 2 small winners in there. But for the most part, this market just was a sideways trend, didn't do much today, really difficult to trade and make anything happen for us. So that's one of the things that we want to make sure that we're paying very close attention to. We want to make sure that we're looking at the economic news and we're looking to see which days we want to trade. Now, for me, Fridays are difficult days. I don't generally like to trade on Fridays. It doesn't mean that the market doesn't move on Fridays. It certainly does. I mean, if there's a nice economic calendar outlook on Friday, then of course we're going to want to trade it. But Fridays are generally days I like to kind of, I'm a typical trader. I like to coast on Fridays. All right, Fridays are my kind of coast day. I like to just wrap things up for the week on Fridays. I kind of like coast through the day, watch the markets a little bit, my existing positions, tend my options, do those types of things. I'm not really looking to get into new positions on Friday because I don't want to hold them over the weekend, right? Especially option positions. We don't want to be jumping into an option just to have 2 days of time decay tick against us while as we just bought that option. So Friday's kind of a lazy day for me. Doesn't mean we can't day trade if there's some activity. So let's look at tomorrow, and this is the thing. Tomorrow we have some pretty high, look at this, 3 high tags here in the U.S. dollar. Well, actually that one's not U.S. That one's British pound. So we have 2 high tags in the U.S. dollar tomorrow. Now this one here, this Michigan sentiment, they always tag that one as high, and between you and me, it shouldn't be high. Nobody pays attention to it. All right, but they tag it as high anyway. But that gives us, in the retail sales advance, that's a good one. 6:30 a.m. my time is when that's going to pop off. 6:30, 7:30, so 8:30 in the morning. So we got some good activity possibilities tomorrow. So tomorrow could be a good day trading day. But are we going to be taking some longer term positions? Want to stay overnight? No, probably not. So That's kind of what we want to look for, and that's really what this video is about. It's just kind of giving you a heads up, letting you know that there's days that we trade, there's days that we don't trade. We want to have days that have some pretty good idea that we're going to get some movement in the market. And this isn't the only economic, this economic calendar isn't the only news that we want to pay attention to. We want to watch, what Donald Trump's doing. Hey, he might tweet something that's going to move the market. So we want to be aware of that kind of stuff too. It's always, again, I'll say it one more time before I sign off here on this video. It's the fundamentals that drive the long-term trends. It's the fundamentals that move the market. The fundamentals are things like news events and government reports and weather and those types of things. Those are the things that move markets. Those are the things that make markets move up and down. And they have a tendency to do that over and over again based on the same economic information or the same types of events that occur. Oftentimes we'll see that reflected in the seasonal nature of markets, and that's why we have Trade Miner, which is a seasonal tool that can help us point out some of those things for longer term trends. So on the shorter term trends, it's these little news reports that come out, this type of stuff that moves the markets. A Donald Trump tweet, that'll move the market. So those are things we want to be aware of, and we want to be able to trade those. It's much more difficult to trade a Donald Trump tweet. So usually I don't pay any attention to those. But these are the things that we can watch. They are scheduled. They're, it's like, hey, tomorrow the market's going to move at 8:30 in the morning. I mean, what's better than that, right? So let's just trade the high probability things and, leave it at that. We're small traders. We're little small speculators. We can't jump in there with 50 contracts at a time in and out. That's not who we are. We're not that type of a trader. We are small speculators, and so we want to just have the closest thing to a sure bet that we possibly can get, and that's these economic news events. All right, so keep that in mind. And then, of course, the technical side of things, the technical tools, the indicators, the arrows, the crossovers, the Fibonacci projections, and rulers, and all that kind of stuff. That technical stuff, those are just to help us know when to enter and exit the fundamental move. All right, okay. So there's my soapbox. There's a little lesson for today on day trading.